Why, hello everyone. My name is Seth Weiner. I am I'm your Rocktioneer. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. Welcome to Coffee Connections, Insights with Innovators. I'm going to tell you about our guests and everything, but first I want to just let everyone know, thanks for your patience. We've had a couple delays, so we had a lot of rescheduling for the last couple of weeks, but we're getting back on a roll. So we've got some good stuff coming up for everyone, and you can always find that at coffeeconnections.live. And I want to let everyone know, you saw in the outro of the video here, tomorrow, I've got a really unique thing going on I want to share. This is, as your Rocktioneer, so I'm doing a demo with Event.Gives. Now, I've done them before, but this one's unique, and I'm going to tell you why. This one is for artists, managers, venues, and music-related nonprofits, because this is the Event.Gives software. I'm going to show how easy it is to reach larger fan bases with artists from their homes or from the stage, maximizing revenue, really engaging with their fans, and just making such a convenient way to bid. So artists that are looking to raise money, venues that are looking to raise money, festivals that are looking to raise money. Tomorrow, Event.Gives demo. I'll have it all on my social media, and you can register right now at yourrocktioneer.com/demo. But again, this is a way for folks to be able to raise money directly from their stage, and it's super simple. They press a button. So it's the only software that's in real time that allows for live auctions and fund and needs and what have you. So imagine going on stage and raising money. We need $10,000 in the next 2 minutes. I mean, it makes it super simple. So more about that tomorrow. But why are you here? Well, you're here for Coffee Connections. Today's guest is Heather Stanley with the Rylander Theater. Now, she's the managing director of this historic theater. It's a 101-year-old live performance theater over in Southwest Georgia. Just happened to be there last week. It's beautiful. She has a BFA in the theater from Valdosta State University and has been in theater for over 25 years. And she's raising a boy who's going to be in theater, I could tell, too. So at the Rylander, she's responsible for the oversight of all the operations, including the historic preservation, the programming of the Friends of the Rylander Theatre Presenters Series, and community outreach. But more than that, she also is president of the Georgia Presenters Network, which is a statewide booking group of collective programming organization under the umbrella of the Fox Theater Institute. So more on this. I'm going to let her tell you all about herself as she just disappeared. She'll be right back with us here in a second. She told me this was going to happen. That or she didn't like the way I was wrapping her. Oh, here she is. All right, she's back. Let's bring Heather into the screen here. Can you hear us?
I can.
All right. Welcome back.
Thanks. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, you did say it would. That's all right. Technology is what it is. But hey, listen, before we get started, I got to ask you, you're on Coffee Connections. Do you drink coffee?
Absolutely. It's a must.
You do? Do you use a mug?
I use a very large tumbler of as much coffee as I can possibly get in there.
All right. So is it iced coffee or hot coffee we're talking about?
Both, whatever. If I run out the door and I don't have time to grab the hot coffee in the morning, I save it, and then the next morning I'll have iced coffee because
all right,
no coffee beans should ever go to waste.
No, not at all. And what about style? Are you a French press? Are you a Krug? What are you? How do you like your make your coffee?
Whole bean, freshly ground that morning, which sounds really pretentious, but it's just a coffee maker that grinds the whole beans there, and then an obscene amount of almond milk creamer, which is not up for debate because I don't trust people who drink black coffee. What do you take in yours?
Well, it's funny you say that. So I'm an almond person? I like almond milk, but okay. I'm doing this intermittent fasting. And so only thing I can have before 11 o'clock is black coffee. And I've learned to appreciate it. So, all right. Yeah, there is that. All right, listen, speaking of appreciating.
High quality coffee, you're good. So.
Oh, absolutely. Only the best that, is on sale at Publix. Never pay full price for your whole beans, okay? Absolutely. That's what I say. All right, well, I'm going to hand the mic over to you. Tell everyone a little bit more about what you do, who you are, and, start with your favorite color.
Oh, wow. Okay, so favorite color is red. It's a very powerful color, and I love red shoes and red purses. So I'm Heather Stanley. I'm the managing director of the historic Rylander Theater here in downtown Americus, Georgia, which is located in Southwest Georgia. We are in Sumter County, which is the home of former President Jimmy Carter and First Lady Rosalind Carter. So technically, the auditorium here at the Rylander is called the Jimmy Carter Auditorium. He and Miss Rosalind have been here before, and it's always really interesting to have Secret Service come in prior to their arrival. And the first time they ever came in, I was very nervous, and I made sure that I knew exactly, where I was talking to the agent, and I was like, okay, your exits are here, here, and here. And they were just like, yeah, we just need like 4 seats. It's fine. Like, they're so laid back, and it was just, it's really a treat to have them here. But usually when I tell people where the theater's located, I have to kind of say it's Carter country. We're down. Do you know Jimmy Carter? Do you know Plains? All right, that's us. So the theater's 101 years old, like we said. And we had a great run. We were open from 1921 as a vaudeville house. And then we became a silent film house as well as vaudeville. Then the technology adapted, and we have the talkies. But unfortunately, we ended our first life cycle in 1951 as sort of the dollar theater of the day. We sat vacant and empty and falling deeper and deeper into disrepair from 1951 to the mid-90s. And then in the mid-90s, we had some very insightful political elected officials locally who understood that to revitalize a downtown and to revitalize a community, you really needed to start with the cultural center, and the theater could be the heart of that. So $4.5 million later, in 1999, the Rylander was fully restored and reopened, and we've been operational ever since. We made it through all the 2020 closures. We were closed for 14 months, but thankfully we have been fully opened and operational again post-COVID since April of 21. We're finishing up with our presenter series. We've got a high school graduation happening this week, and then we're heading into summer camps. So life for a former vaudeville theater in a very small rural Southwest Georgia town is pretty good right now. You ask about Georgia Presenters. We are a 55-member strong network of theaters all over the state, and those theaters are comprised of everybody from theaters like mine, which are partially owned by the city of Americus. So we have city and municipal government theaters. We have universities and public school system theaters and performing arts centers. And then we have fully volunteer, very small, they do one festival a year, organizations that are part of our group. And what we do, the whole point of the Georgia Presenters is to provide professional development, but also to provide guidance on historic preservation. And we also do block booking. So our block booking program, our ultimate goal is to provide the highest possible quality entertainment at the lowest price, so that you have small rural communities all over the state, North Georgia, South Georgia, East and West, everywhere, that can maybe get a slightly bigger name. They can get a show that normally would have been way out of their price range, but because 5 of us have gone in together and gone to the agent and had this collective bargaining conversation, really, we've gone to the agent and said, okay, we're giving you 5 dates in Georgia. Let's knock a few $1,000s off of that fee, and we can pass that savings along to our community. And suddenly something that was seemingly out of reach is now happening in our towns. So we've been able to do some great block booking around the state through that program. And it's a wonderful way to connect with our colleagues, to also share ideas and share best practices. We have a very active email listserv. So if somebody says, hey, we're updating our job descriptions, can you send me all of yours? We're constantly sharing information and just trying to help each other out the best we possibly can.
Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah. So the theater itself, though, 101 years old, mm-hmm. I mean, it's obviously still exactly as it was 101 years ago, right?
Absolutely. No. We really did pay a lot of attention. I say we. I wasn't here for it, obviously, but the powers that be very, very carefully restored the theater. So a lot of, for example, some of the flooring in our auditorium was so damaged it had to be removed. But they took flooring from the upstairs and put it back downstairs in the auditorium. So it's still original to the building, just a different part of the building. Things like that. They were very, very careful, and they did their best to put things back almost exactly as they found it. But I can tell you, it's a lot. Our air conditioning situation is a lot better now than it would have been 101 years ago.
Yeah. And also, isn't there another theater that's very similar to yours, so that you got a little trial and error there?
We do. We have a sister theater in Augusta. The Imperial Theater was designed by the same architect. C.K. Howell is the architect's name. And they are just a little bit older than us in downtown Augusta. So I like to say that they sort of worked out some of the kinks before they got to us. But it's been really helpful to have their managing director as one of my colleagues, because he and I will frequently call each other and say, okay, that flaw in the basement? Yeah, it's happening again. How did you fix it? How do I, it's just nice to have somebody who's in the same boat with you.
Yeah, that's great. It was a film house. And now, do you ever do films there still? Is that a thing? Is that going to come back? Like as AMCs are kind of falling, are theaters rising?
Prior to COVID, we were doing something that I was really proud of and really excited about. We have a 1928 Moeller theater pipe organ. So if you're familiar with the pipe organ at the Fox Theater, that is the Mighty Mo, because it is a Moeller theater pipe organ. Well, we have the Mini Mo. And at one point in time, there were only 3 of them in the entire state of Georgia, and ours and the Fox made up 2 of those. I think there's maybe 4 now. But those organs were designed to accompany silent films. So a really fun thing that we were doing, usually in October, that used to be sort of a lull in our season for us. I would have somebody come in and they would play the organ. They would do the silent film accompaniment to silent horror films. So we did the original 1930s Phantom of the Opera. We did Nosferatu, things like that. And the guys that, the individuals who accompany the silent films, I'd say 90% of it, they've composed all of this in their heads. There's no sheet music in front of them. And I actually had one of my patrons say, I think it was during Phantom of the Opera, he said, about halfway through, I just stopped watching the movie and started watching the organist when I realized he had no sheet music. Like, he was just playing along to the film, So I'm hoping to bring that back. We had to take our organ offline for some repair, and I'm hoping to bring that back in the coming seasons.
Oh, that's wonderful. So did anyone donate anything to repair it? I mean, because then they would be an organ donor. Sorry. It's a low-hanging fruit. I have to.
Oh, no, I know. I love it. I can't believe I didn't think of that, because that's pretty great, actually. I'm just so sad I didn't think of that.
So what are some of the productions you have? And then you're flying in people from New York to do these productions?
Well, we do have a presenter series, and that's international and national touring acts. We have a local community theater called the Sumter Players, and that's all volunteer, all local folks. They do several productions a year. And then we're also a rental house. So I mentioned a second ago that we're hosting a high school graduation this weekend. We host area dance recitals, civic club meetings. We've had weddings. We've had church services. We're a space for the people. We can do a little bit of everything. But yes, with our presenter series, that goes back to what I was talking about with Georgia Presenters. That's where we're bringing in this talent from all over the world to come and perform in Americus and other communities around the state.
And 2 questions popped to mind. What's America's? And I think of the Deep South. I mean, it's it's not Florida South, but it's South. It's South Georgia there. What's the culture like for the arts there?
I would like to think that we have a thriving arts culture, despite sort of the idea that being the further you get toward Florida, it starts to get a little scary. But culturally around here, there's such a rich heritage of art and storytelling, whether it's visual art or performance, especially music. We have an incredible musical heritage in this part of the state as well. So there is an appreciation for art. There's an appreciation for all the arts, music, dance, live performance, and visual art, photography, all of the arts councils here in this area do an incredible job sort of highlighting our natural beauty and the talent around here.
All right. Yeah. And then with the presenters and some of that national talent, what are some of the group buys that you have? What are some of the acts that have recently mowed their way through Georgia?
So in the past, we've done, let's see, we do a lot of Motown. We do a lot of music because that's sort of the universal, everybody wants the big musical names. So we'll do things like, a lot of tributes, Johnny Cash tributes. We'll do original bluegrass groups. We'll do things like the Malpas Brothers. We've routed them several times. Lightwire Theater. They were finalists on America's Got Talent. They do everything in total darkness with electromagnetic lighting and fiber. And they make these giant puppets. They've made the rounds through Georgia Presenters several times. There's a group that's coming up, and I don't want to spoil it because I know a lot of my colleagues haven't announced their seasons yet, but there's a group that we saw at a showcase back in November, and we were all just so blown away by them. They were also on America's Got Talent, but we're so many of us want them that we've had to form two separate tours. So they're gonna run through the state in the spring and then run through the state in the fall. Because so many of us are so close together, we would step on each other's toes, and we certainly don't want to compete and pull audience from our neighbors and our colleagues. But things like that, some groups are just so incredibly impressive that we end up bringing them through the state 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it also makes sense that these acts are coming through from America's Got Talent, because it's a breeding ground. Speaking of breeding grounds, I know that you have the Children's Theater. You can talk a little bit about this, and then and I want you to segue this into a little bit more about how the theater is engaging with the youth, so that there's a new generation coming into the theater, because I think that's can be a challenging thing with this, anything that has the word historic in the front of it tends to have old money, a support base that's dying off or getting older, and then what about how do you get the kids involved?
I mean, you're absolutely right about that. So what we have coming up this summer is a residency with the Missoula Children's Theater, and this is a professional theater company based in Missoula, Montana. We've been hosting a residency with them every summer for 20 years now. So they are very well rooted in this community. They also go into schools during the school year. So they come to us in the summer, and they come to an area school in the fall. And there are kids who are eager to participate in both. It's an incredible group because they come to town in a little red truck. It's like an F-150. But in that truck are 2 tour directors, all of the scripts, all of the set, all of the costumes, all the props, and their personal luggage, everything they will need. So it's literally roll into town in the truck, audition kids on Monday, rehearse all week long. They teach these kids about a 90-minute musical, and it's always a musical adaptation of a well-known children's story. Like this year, it's Rumpelstiltskin. Last year, it was The Snow Queen, which Frozen is based on. So they rehearse these kids all week long, And then they do 2 final performances on Saturday. They take down the set, they pack everything back up in the truck, and on Sunday they leave town and head off to the next stop. And we have kids in the community, or grandparents in the community, whose grandchildren live out of state, and they will plan their family trips
nice.
and their family vacations around when Missoula is going to be here, so that when the kids are in town, spending a couple of weeks with the grandparents, they've got, a really great activity to do. The benefit of doing things like this, you get kids in the space. And the minute they walk into this beautiful space, they're in awe. And then they see this huge stage laid out before them. And of course, any kid's going to want to run up on that stage and start doing anything. We do a lot of educational tours, and you can just see them just kind of chomping at the bit. Can we get on the stage? Can we get on the stage? Can we take our picture now? And every now and then you'll get a kid who just kind of wanders over. But the majority of the kids, that's the view that they see right there. That's what it looks like to perform to 621 people if we're at a full house. And these kids can't wait to start singing and dancing and doing all kinds of stuff. But so you get them in here and they get excited about the possibility. And then we start talking to them about why historic places are important. And they don't care about the architectural details. Some of them do. I have had a few that ask some really good questions. But they're more interested in what we do and what they can do here. So we talk to them about, if maybe acting's not your thing, you can work lights, work sound, fly things in and out, build the sets, how there's always something to do. There's always a job to be done in the theater. And these kids keep coming, they are the next generation of patrons. And we have to start building those connections now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's great. I would be curious to know, like, what are the ages of that tour, the children's tour? What are the instructors? Are they adults? Are they like college kids?
Most of them are college graduates. So okay. I know one of the tour directors that's come into town, she just graduated in 2020. Was looking at her bio the other day. So most of them are recent college graduates with the, degrees in theater, musical theater, sometimes with an emphasis or an extra edition of early childhood education. But the Missoula Children's Theater program out in Montana does an incredible job of teaching these tour directors how to gently and responsively work with these kids. They're incredibly inclusive.
We lost her. She said this might happen again, and it did. But Heather will be right back with us. And while we're waiting, I will show you another photo of Rumpelstiltskin, because why not, right? Here she is. She's back. Let's bring her back into the fold.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Not sure what's happening, but it is what it is. Anyway, as I was saying, the tour directors are very well trained by the Missoula Children's Theater Company to handle kids of all levels, and it's for ages 6 and up, 6 all the way to 18. And a lot of times they'll take those older kids and make them assistant directors.
Sure. Yeah. But I love that. I think that's something, though, like parents are like, well, my kid wants to go to college to be in theater, and just like, I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to go to Broadway? Like, what's there, And it's like, well, no, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of jobs, like, and this is one of them. And that's why I kind of want to touch on that. But those people are getting paid, and that's great. But you're a nonprofit, and you run off, like you said, something about the AC. I mean, or the roof repairs and the lightning damage. Like, where do you get the money outside of? I mean, obviously you've got ticket sales, but that can't be enough to pay for everything and to keep everything functioning, and the architecture, and I can go on and on. Where's the money come from? Talk a little about your fundraising.
So our fundraising, we're a little bit of a unique situation in that we are an entity of the city of Americus. So we do get some funding from the city, but that's operational funding. That's for things like building repair and maintenance, personnel, insurance, things like that. Our programming money and more of what I would call the cosmetic restoration projects, the things that keep it looking so impressive. That comes from the Friends of the Rylander Theater, which is our 501c3 nonprofit arm. And then and when I say we, I mean me, we seek out grants. I am the sole grant writer here. That was not covered in theater school. That is a chapter in my book, Things I Did Not Learn in Theater School, but wish I did, was grant writing. We have been so incredibly fortunate to receive grants from the Fox Theater Institute.
Not just one, you've gotten multiple grants from them.
Yes. One of them was specifically for some hurricane damage. We sustained some damage from Hurricane Michael in 2018. So for that, it was sort of a urgent needs emergency funding.
Right.
But most recently, last week, we received a $15,000 grant from the Fox Theater Institute to aid in the roof repair and upgrading of our lightning protection system. The rest of that money, we were very fortunate enough to get an allocation from a SPLOST referendum. So we did have some SPLOST money that could go for that. But not everybody's in that situation. A lot of people have to rely solely on fundraising, and that's where we have to get a little creative.
And, folks, you can go to Rylander.org and make a donation if you want to contribute there. Because the money is going to good use.
And you'll get a handwritten thank you note from me.
And that is priceless.
And a koozie. I'll throw in a koozie.
Hey, why not? Awesome. Well, do you have anything else coming up that you want to share?
You know what? Just
to
support. You don't. Just to support your local theaters. That's the important part. Our biggest competition is Netflix. Spread the love. Just because you have multiple opportunities and multiple venues in your town, they're not competing with each other. We are all working in collaboration with one another. And, what's the saying about a rising tide lifts all boats? That's sort of our mantra around the Georgia Presenters, is we want to help each other and take care of each other.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you are doing that. You can see it. And it's fantastic. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for all you're doing for the Rylander and for Georgia in general with everything. But before I let you go, I asked all of my guests, is there someone that's innovator in the nonprofit world that you'd like to recommend to be a guest here on Coffee Connections?
Yeah, I think somebody that would be really interesting to talk to, because they're some of my favorite people to talk to, is a group called Cooperative Coffees. They're based here in Americus. They're a fair trade organic coffee company. They partner with farmer-owned coffee co-ops all over the world. Sometimes they'll even take normal folks like me. I haven't gone yet, but the offer's there. But they'll take you to Guatemala to meet the farmers and see. But they're really dedicated to sustainable farming and farmers being paid a fair, livable wage. And they make great coffee. So they're doing really, really interesting things. And so I think you should talk to them.
That is incredible. No one's suggested a coffee organization, which kind of makes sense on Coffee Connection. So thanks for tying the whole thing together there.
You're welcome.
And thanks for your time today. I'm going to remind everyone to go to Rylander.org. And Georgia Presenters, what's the website there?
FoxTheater.org. And then you can link to Fox Theater Institute, and Georgia Presenters is buried under there.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And thank everyone for joining us today. And of course, tomorrow, Event.Give's demo, it's the rock and roll, but it's not just rock and roll. It could be, if you're watching, I will record this demo and share it. But you imagine, again, you have 670 people in your venue. You have someone come on stage, preferably me, and do a call to auction. You can live auction a guitar signed by the band, a dinner with the theater, a poster sign, whatever it might be. But you can do a live auction right from the stage where people are bidding on their phone in a live environment. So it's not like an online auction. It's totally unique. The number that is now, if I'm asking for 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000, whatever it is, it's showing up on people's phones and they're pressing the button and it continues to move. It's really exciting. It gives the feel of being in a live auction. And it's a great way to, raise the roof, so to say. That is tomorrow, event.gibbs. We'll do that demo at yourauctioneer.com/demo. All right, folks, have a great day. Oh, and Thursday, we'll back with Caring Works. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Thursday.